Well, hello again, and welcome to another edition of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes of what's been happening through the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, that old history dude, with a look today at what the difference is between fad and fashion. We'll find out as we look at the latest in fashion. Tough times in the early 20th century created a unique fashion alliance between animal feed producers and rural housewives. Flour and feed were sold in coarse fabric sacks, which thrifty farmwives recycled into rags and towels. When softer linen bags were introduced in the 1910s, these quickly became bed sheets, curtains, and undergarments. Company logos were soaked off or hidden behind appliques. Feed suppliers took notice and started offering garment-quality sacks in a variety of shades and patterns. Some even printed patterns for dolls and doll clothing right on the sacks. Feed fashion design classes were offered, and empty sacks regularly bought, sold, and traded to get enough of a certain print to make a garment. For example, a 100-pound chicken feed bag yielded about 1 square yard of fabric. Tattered clothing would become cleaning rags, quilts, and woven rugs. World War II saw feed sacks switch from cotton to paper, but post-war, they were back. Feed producers teamed with pattern makers like McCall's and Simplicity to create specialty patterns and hired top-flight fashion designers to produce attractive prints. Changing farm practices and prosperity in the 50s saw a decline in flour sack fashions. And by the 60s, they were found only in county and state fair sewing exhibitions. Some women would die for high fashion, literally. Fashionistas endure an awful lot to wear the latest attire and even endanger their lives. Just consider these harmful haute couture looks from the past. Crinolines, introduced in 1856, were used to create layer upon layer of petticoats. Women looked like spinning flowers as they whirled around the dance floor, but they were deadly. Contact with fire sent them up in flames in a heartbeat, killing thousands. And then there was muslin. Ladies often wetted this light fabric before appearing in public, making it scandalously form-fitting. Introduced in the 19th century and named for Mosul, Iraq, the wet muslin led to thousands of women dying of pneumonia. And then there was the ravishing Paris green dresses that were all the rage in the early 1900s. It was a dress to die for, literally. Those who wore it developed sores, scabs, diarrhea, headaches, and cancer thanks to the deadly coloring agent, arsenic. Men weren't immune from lethal fashions either. Stiff, high, replaceable shirt collars allowed men to simply detach the used collar, put on a new one, and wear the same shirt the next day. Unfortunately, dozing off could be fatal since the rigid collar could cut off blood flow to the carotid artery, hence the nickname father killer. Not all fashion involves clothing. Fashions come and fashions go. Corsets produced an hourglass figure and lasting deformity. Muscles made walking and sitting almost impossible for ladies in the 1870s and 80s. Lady Gaga's ridiculously arched armadillo shoes came and went in 2010. But one of the oddest fashion rages was the Alexandra limp. Alexandra of Denmark was the bride of the Prince of Wales and reigned with her husband, King Edward VII, from 1901 to 1910. Her subjects absolutely adored her generosity, beauty, and her keen fashion sense. Women copied the chokers that she wore to hide a scar on her neck. Ladies copied the gowns that she wore. They even mimicked her limp. Being stricken with rheumatoid fever had left her with a pronounced limp. So enamored of her were her subjects that they copied that too. First, they made do by wearing wildly mismatched shoes. Catching wind of the latest craze, merchants were soon producing custom shoes, one with a heel and one without, to create the Alexandra limp. And then, as soon as it came, it was gone. It happened right around the time a racehorse appeared named the Alexandria Limp, and just in time for the arrival of hobble skirts. Oh, joy. So what's the limit of what fashion is and what fashion isn't? Sometimes it's hard to tell. It's got to be new, honey. New, new, new. And those shoes are so last week, and that hairstyle is yesterday's news, and that dress. Seriously. Welcome to the constantly happening, cutting-edge world of high fashion. The quest for innovative clothing is a never-ending one, which might possibly help explain Jeremy Scott's decidedly different look in the trash-themed Fall-Winter 2017 runway collection for the Italian designer house of Moschino. Model Stella Maxwell really worked the outfit on the catwalk, which featured a slip-on sleeveless polyester black underdress. Over the top was a clear plastic dry cleaner's bag featuring the repeated message, "We pick up and deliver," in red letters down the length of the bag, and the words, "We love our customers," emblazoned on a white panel across the top. To complete the iconic look, Stella sported a wire hanger stylishly affixed to her hair as an ornamental headpiece. Interested in sending the message that you just arrived from the dry cleaner, freshly cleaned and pressed? Well, if so, it was marketed online as a crepe sheer overlay dress at Brown's Fashions. Sadly, a check of their website reveals that they are currently sold out. I'm sure they flew off the racks at $735 each. And that's about all the time we have for this edition of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes at what's been happening throughout the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, author, historian, and speaker, wishing that all of your history may be just a little bit weird.